At 70 years old, I stood at the entrance of my beach house in Malibu, my hands trembling as I held the keys to the home I'd built with decades of hard work. The ocean breeze carried the familiar scent of salt, but something felt wrong. My sanctuary, my pride, had been invaded. My daughter-in-law Jessica stood on the terrace, glaring at me. "What is this old parasite doing here?" she shouted. "There's no room for you." I had arrived that Friday morning expecting my house to be empty, as it always was during my holiday visits. Instead, I found chaos, unfamiliar cars in my garage, loud music blaring, my garden trampled, and my furniture ruined. Strangers Jessica's family treated my home like their own. But before I go further, imagine yourself in my shoes. Have you ever had something you worked hard for taken from you? Let me know in the comments where you're reading this story from. We'd love to hear how far it reaches. For 20 years, I'd driven the familiar coastal highway to my Malibu beach house, a place that symbolized everything I'd achieved. Widowed at 50, I raised my son Robert alone, working tirelessly as a seamstress to pay for every brick, tile, and flower in that house. It was my refuge, built with love and sacrifice. But that morning, as I pulled into the driveway, I saw cars I didn't recognize. Loud music disrupted the quiet I cherished. My heart sank as I stepped out of my car. My garden, meticulously tended every weekend, was a wreck. Beer cans littered the lawn, and my red geraniums lay crushed. Wet towels and dirty clothes covered my wicker chairs. Children ran wild, kicking a ball against my face. As I approached the entrance, Jessica appeared in the doorway, wearing my favorite embroidered apron. Her cold eyes met mine. "Jessica, I didn't know you were here," I said, trying to stay calm. "This is my house. I come here every holiday weekend." She laughed, a cruel, mocking sound that made me feel small. "Oh, please," she scoffed. "Robert said we could use the house whenever we wanted. You just show up to complain and ruin our family plans." Before I could respond, more people emerged. Jessica's sister Veronica, her teenage sons, her mother with a sneer, an older man in a Hawaiian shirt, and others I didn't know. They stared at me like I was the intruder. Jessica's mother sized me up. "Is this the famous mother-in-law you talk about? I thought she'd be more imposing. She seems rather common." Their snickers stung like arrows. "Where's Robert?" I demanded, my heart racing. "He's working, as always," Jessica replied, crossing her arms. "Unlike you, he has real responsibilities. There's no room for you here, Eleanor. The bedrooms are full, the kitchen's in use, and your presence will just cause tension." I was stunned. She was kicking me out of my own home, the house I'd built after my husband's death, paid for with years of sewing late into the night. "This house is mine," I said, my voice weaker than I wanted. "I have the deeds. I pay the bills." "Enough," Jessica snapped. "Robert's your son, isn't he? What's yours is his, and what's his is mine. That's how families work." The group watched me, their silence heavy with judgment. Humiliation burned, but something inside me refused to break. I walked back to my car, each step deliberate. As I drove away, my mind flashed to 20 years ago, when this property was just a weed-filled lot. I was 50, Robert was 25, and we were a team against the world. I'd built this house for us, for our future. Now, it was occupied by invaders who thought they could take it. I checked into a hotel, the Pacific View, for $285 a night, money I hadn't planned to spend. From the balcony, I could see the lights of my house in the distance, mocking me. That night, a cold, calculated anger grew inside me, not the impulsive kind, but the sharp, focused resolve of a woman who'd survived loss and hardship. Jessica had underestimated me, and she was about to learn who Eleanor Vance really was. The next morning, I returned to the house, hoping for a calmer conversation. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe Robert would explain. But when I arrived at 8 a.m., the front door, my door was locked. I had to ring the bell like a stranger. Veronica answered, still in pajamas, glaring. "What do you want now?" she asked. "I need to get some things and talk to Jessica," I said. Her response floored me. "Jessica's sleeping. And your things are in the garage, so they're not in the way." My belongings? Treated like trash. She let me in, but the house felt foreign. The air smelled of strange food, cigarette smoke, and cheap perfume. The living room was a mess of inflatable mattresses and scattered clothes. In the kitchen, my carefully designed space was ruined, grease on the stove, dirty dishes piling up, my best pans stained. "Where are my porcelain plates?" I asked, my voice shaking. Veronica shrugged. "Some broke. The kids were playing." Jessica said they were old anyway. My treasured plates, bought one by one over years, were gone. Upstairs, in my master bedroom, Jessica's mother was organizing my clothes into plastic bags. Jessica explained everything. She said dismissively, "I'm taking care of your things." My dresses, shoes, and personal items were stuffed into bags like donations. Two strange boys slept in my bed, my pillows stained on the floor. Then I noticed something chilling. My secret closet, where I kept important documents and sentimental items, had been opened. Papers were scattered. My mother's jewelry was gone, and the property deeds were crumpled. Worse, I found legal documents with Robert and Jessica's names. Application to transfer the house to Robert, claiming I was mentally incompetent due to my advanced age. A handwritten note in Jessica's script read, "With this money, we can buy a bigger apartment and send the kids to private school. We just need R to sign, and for the little old lady not to cause problems." They called me the little old lady. This wasn't just an invasion I ate, was a planned theft to strip me of my life's work, with my son as an accomplice. I overheard Jessica on the phone, laughing. "The lawyer says it's easy. Robert's an only child, so we can claim the inheritance early due to her incapacity. We sent fake medical papers. A doctor signed a dementia report for $50. My own son had agreed to declare me senile to steal my house." I left silently, taking the documents as evidence. This was no longer a family dispute, was a war. On Monday, I drove to the bank to check my resources. For 20 years, I'd saved $300 a month from my pension and sewing income, a habit born from surviving poverty and widowhood. The bank manager, Mr. Davis, showed me my accounts. $87,000 in savings, $23,000 in certificates of deposit, and $12,000 in checking, $122,000 total. Jessica thought I was a helpless old woman. She didn't know I'd built a fortress of financial security. "I need you to freeze third-party access to my accounts," I told Mr. Davis, "and provide a letter confirming my mental capacity." He recommended Thomas Grant, a lawyer specializing in family law and property fraud. That afternoon, I met Thomas in his elegant office. I laid out everything: the invasion, the humiliation, the fake documents, the stolen jewelry, Robert's betrayal. He took meticulous notes. "Do you have the original deeds?" he asked. "Yes," I said, "and every receipt." From the last 20 years, I'd never seen the doctor who signed the dementia report. Thomas smiled. This is a solid case: property invasion, theft, document forgery, and medical corruption. We'll file for immediate eviction. Report the theft, pursue the fake medical report, and request a restraining order. How long will it take? I asked. The eviction could be immediate, he said. The law moves fast when there's clear evidence of invasion. His fee was $5,000, which I could pay up front. They thought you were helpless, Thomas said, but you're prepared. I smiled. I've been defending myself for 70 years. That night, I called my sister Laura in Phoenix and told her everything. Eleanor, I can't believe Robert would do this, she said. What matters now, I replied, is what I'm going to take back. On Tuesday morning, Thomas arrived at my house with a police officer, a notary, and 3 legal documents. I stepped out of a taxi, dressed in my best gray suit, carrying a briefcase of evidence. Jessica's family was eating breakfast on my terrace when they saw us. Jessica dropped her coffee cup, her face pale. Good morning, Thomas announced. I'm attorney Thomas Grant, representing Eleanor Vance, the rightful owner of this property. We're here to deliver an immediate eviction order for illegal invasion. The officer listed the violations: invasion, destruction of property, theft. You have 2 hours to leave, he said. Mrs. Vance's belongings stay here. Jessica panicked. Veronica filmed on her phone, and their mother looked terrified. Robert arrived, speeding into the driveway, his face desperate. What's going on? He demanded. Thomas handed him a subpoena for complicity in property fraud, showing him the transfer papers. Robert turned pale, stammering, Mom, I can explain. There's nothing to explain, I said. You chose your side, Jessica whispered to him, but he shook his head, uncomfortable. What's she telling you, Robert? I asked. To say I'm mentally unstable. Thomas stepped in. You have 3 days to appear in court for fraud against a senior citizen. The next 2 hours were chaotic. Jessica's mother broke down, blaming her daughter. You said the little old lady agreed, she cried. Jessica snapped back, frantically packing. The children, confused, ran around crying. One boy, about 8, approached me. Ma'am, why are you kicking us out? We didn't do anything. My heart ached. He was innocent. This is my house, I explained gently. And your family came without permission. Jessica overheard and stormed over. Don't talk to my kids, she shouted. You're confusing them. You confused them by bringing them here, I replied. Thomas warned her. Your comments about Mrs. Vance's age are being documented as age discrimination. Robert tried to negotiate. Mom, we can fix this without lawyers. We'll return the jewelry. It was a mistake. A mistake, I said, like the fake dementia report. The property transfer. Calling me a parasite. He muttered, It was Jessica. I shook my head. You stayed silent while she humiliated me. You betrayed me for money. He admitted their financial bad investments, maxed out credit cards. You live alone in a small apartment, he said. This house is a waste. The truth hit hard. He thought I didn't deserve what I'd built. My sacrifices for you were a waste, I asked. He had no answer. As they packed, Robert said, You always made me feel guilty for your sacrifices. I nodded. You're right. I should have let you be more independent. But that doesn't justify betraying me. With minutes left, Jessica shouted, This isn't over. We'll prove you're crazy. I replied calmly, My lawyer's ready." They drove away, Robert glancing back in the rearview mirror. I turned away. That afternoon, I hired a cleaning crew for $700 to erase the invasion's traces. They scrubbed stains, restored furniture, and cleaned every surface. But the damage lingered: wine-stained cushions, a hair-dryer-wind bathtub, burned skillets, trampled plants. Worst of all, my family photo album and my father's wall clock were gone. Irreplaceable treasures. A week later, Thomas called with updates. The doctor who signed the fake dementia report was suspended for issuing fraudulent documents. Robert and Jessica faced criminal charges for fraud and conspiracy, with hefty legal fees piling up. They've spent over $30,000 on lawyers, Thomas said. This is now a criminal case. Veronica called, crying. Jessica's desperate. They've spent $15,000, and Robert might lose his job. Please drop the charges. I refused. They should have thought of that before. Trying to rob me, she offered. To return the jewelry, tell Jessica to bring it herself, I said. 2 days later, Jessica arrived alone, eyes swollen, carrying a bag of my jewelry. I'm sorry, she said, listing the items: pearl earrings, a gold watch, silver coins, a necklace. We needed money for debts, she admitted. I thought you didn't use the house much, so it'd be better in Robert's name. I stared at her. You falsified documents and humiliated me, she claimed. It was a cheap lawyer's idea. But her excuses rang hollow. Robert says you're not his mother anymore, she said. He thinks you chose money over family, and you chose money over respect. I replied. She left, defeated. A month later, Thomas reported that Robert and Jessica accepted a plea deal. A $25,000 fine, 200 hours of community service each, and 2 years probation. Their legal fees exceeded $50,000, a steep price for their betrayal. My mental capacity was legally cleared, and my house was mine again. I hired Maria, a part-time housekeeper, to maintain the property. I changed the locks, installed cameras, and updated my will to leave the house to charity, not Robert. If he wanted independence, he'd have it. One day, I found an old photo of Robert at 8, smiling on the beach where I'd later build the house. I sat on the bed, grappling with sadness. Had I been too controlling? Had my sacrifices burdened him? But nothing justified his actions. He was an adult, responsible for his choices. 6 months later, Laura told me Robert and Jessica had divorced. The scandal and financial strain too much. I felt no joy, only sorrow for the broken family. Then, one Saturday, Robert appeared at my driveway. I came to apologize. He said, I betrayed you in the worst way. I don't expect forgiveness, but I'm sorry. Thank you, I said. Forgiveness takes time. He nodded, accepting the distance between us. I began allowing his children to visit. Their laughter brought life back to the house. I taught them to bake and garden, sharing stories of their father's childhood. One day, Sophia, the eldest, asked, Grandma, why did you and Dad fight? I explained, gently. They tried to take something important without asking. She nodded, understanding. It's like when I take my sister's things and get in trouble at a senior support group in Chicago. I learned my story wasn't unique. Many elders faced family exploitation, some losing everything. Inspired, I began giving talks at community centers, teaching seniors how to protect their rights. I volunteered for a hotline supporting elderly victims of abuse. turning my pain into purpose. At 72, I spent a month at my beach house, inviting Laura for 2 weeks. We planted flowers, cooked, and talked, the ocean a constant backdrop. "Do you miss Robert?" she asked. "Every day," I said. "But I miss the son I thought he was, not the man he became." On my 71st birthday, Veronica sent a card with a photo of the children. I sent them Christmas gifts, keeping our connection alive. Forgiveness came slowly. Not as a grand gesture, but in small moments, shared stories. Quiet understanding. It didn't erase the past, but allowed me to move forward. My beach house stands strong, a symbol of my resilience. Built from a seamstress's dreams, defended with courage, it's now a place of healing. I'm Eleanor Vance, not the little old lady they underestimated, but a woman who faced betrayal and emerged stronger. My story is one of loss and triumph, a reminder that age doesn't diminish our strength or worth. If it resonates, share it. Let's inspire others to stand tall, no matter their age.